I found out that the prince likes men. He stares at my breasts and asks from time to time. He even stole the undershirt I changed out of the shower. I went to him to argue, but he held me against the wall. The prince's reddish eyes had a steaming murderous aura as he gritted his teeth and sneered. Lord Fu, how come I didn't realize before? Your waist is so thin. My name is Fiona Yanning. I am the first daughter of the Minister of Personnel's family, and when I was 6 years old, I was a companion to the Crown Prince at Eastern Palace on behalf of my first brother. Fin Yanxing, Prince Ethan is elegant and noble, warm and gentle like jade, and treats his companions very well recently. However, I have realized that the prince seems to have taken an unusual interest in me. In class, he would turn his head to look at me from time to time, and sometimes when he was walking on the road, he would suddenly stop and scan me up and down. I couldn't help but wonder if my disguise was showing, but the prince also just said, Fin Yanxing, you are also too skinny. I rolled my eyes. I am a girl. As June approaches, the weather is getting hotter and hotter, and the summer clothes are thin and light, which makes me look more and more slender and graceful. In recent months, the two grips in front of the chest more and more bulging. This can suffer me. I've been tying the binder back and forth for ages, strangling me to the point of pain, and then putting on a wide outer robe to be able to cover it up. Today, the emperor wants to test the crown prince's riding and shooting skills, and wants all the people to accompany him. I came to menstrual cycle yesterday. Since this year ago fell into the water, I felt the menstrual pain of the problem. Today the emperor is also going to go. Cannot take leave. I only have to endure, waiting for me to rush to the calibration field. People have arrived almost. I lowered my head and wanted to scurry to the back to reduce my presence, but a clear voice lowered its voice and called out to me, Yanxing, today's sun is so big. Why are you wearing so much? And your face is so pale. It was the son of the Duke of Zhao, Jake Donovan, the fiancé who had been betrothed to me since childhood. Cough. I'm not feeling well. It's okay. It's okay. When I finished speaking, I felt that the crown prince not far away seemed to glance at me, and when I tried to fix my eyes on him again, I saw him saying this to Prince Liam. Did I blink my eyes? As soon as the emperor arrived, the calibration began. The crown prince rode to the top of the heap. Never having a rival among the younger generation, I looked at his spirited appearance and couldn't help but pray for myself. What should I do? What should I do? It's going to be my turn to shoot arrows in a while. Next, the first son of Fu Shanshu's family, Fin Yanxing. The eunuch sang in a loud voice. I had to bow my body and go up. After all, I'm a girl. How could I pull up such a heavy bow? I couldn't even reach the full moon after 2 pulls. Suddenly, everything in front of me spun up, and a fine pain came from my belly. I fainted uncontrollably. The crowd stirred, and the crown prince came to me in an arrow step instantaneously, picked me up and moved me to a nearby palace. The pain passed and I woke up. The crown prince sat on the edge of my bed, his eyes complex, and spoke coolly. How come you are so weak? Thin as a bone. Loan a little force you will break. If you're not feeling well, just take a leave of absence. What's the point of trying to be strong? Don't disgrace His Majesty. If you are like this, you might as well not go on the field, so that the whole of Upper Kyoto will know that my companion is a powerless young man. The prince looked disgusted, but his eyes wandered around my chest and waist. Not good. Alarm bells went off in my heart. Did the prince realize that I was wearing binder? Could your highness go out for a moment? Inkling wants to bathe. I blushed. I wanted to confirm the binder and change the sanitary belt, but the prince stared at my flushed face, his eyes deepening. Like a girl, but also to bathe. Are men. What is there to avoid? He said these words on the mouth, but also covered the door to leave. My body sank into the warm water. I had a good relaxation, and unknowingly fell asleep. When I woke up, the water was a bit cold, almost June day. Although not to the wind chill, I also still come to the menstrual cycle. I was dressed in my clothes, and all I could think was that something wasn't right. My undershirt was gone. I searched for it but couldn't find it. Hurriedly wrapped my binder around it and headed home. Afterwards, I kept wondering where my undershirt had gone. But who knew that a few days later, I would actually find it in the prince's chambers at Eastern Palace. When I found it, it was on the crown prince's bed. I took a piece of my jade pendant for him and peeled out an undershirt under the crown prince's soft pillow. At first I thought that the crown prince had gotten the hang of it and liked some girl. But when I saw the tiny word inkstone embroidered on the undershirt, it was as if my whole body had been thunderstruck. How could my undershirt be here? Prince is not gay. Fin Yanxing, why are you so slow to find a jade pendant? Prince suddenly appeared behind me. I was carrying my undershirt and was furious. Your Highness, don't you want to explain why my undershirt is here with you? The crown prince looked at the thing in my hand. His face sank. His phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. He hooked his lips and approached me step by step. As you know, this is your undershirt, he said word for word. I took a step back at the sudden crazed look in his eyes and swallowed frantically, just as I couldn't back away and my back was about to hit the wall. He wrapped his arms around my waist. The crown prince's phoenix eyes were red, with a steaming murderous aura hidden in his eyes, and he held me down hard against the wall, gritting his teeth and sneering. Lord Fu, how come I didn't realize before? Your waist is so thin. His strength was so great that I couldn't move for a moment. The prince's hot breath sprayed on the side of my face, and his near-perfect handsome face enlarged infinitely in front of my eyes. I stared at him for a long time without a moment's notice, almost forgetting that my situation was extremely dangerous, really distracted by his charm. Distracted by his charm. The prince saw that I froze and didn't say anything. The hand that pinched my waist tightened. Somewhat dissatisfied, Lone asked you words. What? Attracted by Lone's beauty, unable to extricate yourself. I was busy shaking my head and nodding again. Your Highness has a great beauty. We naturally admire it. Just what? The prince's phoenix eyes narrowed dangerously. I squeezed out 2 tears and squeezed my throat. I can't be humane. Brother is sorry. Little sister, I can only say you cannot be humane in order to save my life. In an instant, the crown prince's eyes widened. His expression gradually stiffened, and the hand that was restraining me loosened. I took the opportunity to snatch the undershirt from his hands and slipped out of his arms. Bent over, I deflated my mouth. 2 drops of tears hanging in the corners of my eyes. So aggrieved. Your Highness must reveal people short. The prince was at a loss for words. Subconsciously want to reach out to hold me, but I avoided. His brow wrinkled very deep, twisted. Lone did not. Your Highness knows that my sister and I are premature babies. My sister's body is still not good. How can I, a brother who is older than her by a few moments, be any better? I smiled to myself, although it was to fool him. This is the truth. My brother and I were born when we were 8 months old. Mother had a hard time carrying the 2 of us and was shocked by the birth of the concubine's eldest son, so she gave birth prematurely. My brother and I were born as skinny as cats, but I was fine and grew up with a few bumps. My brother, however, suffered a cold when he was born, and was left with a lifelong illness. My mother was so worried that she had a hemorrhage and went away early in the month. Prince Ethan's eyes are complex. His outstretched hand slowly lowered. I knew that these words did not completely dispel his doubts, and simply gave up. Grabbing his hand to explore the lower abdomen, I didn't he know that his aura was condensed. And he said angrily, Fin Yanxing, you and I are the same man. How can? The latter words didn't come out, because he forcefully threw my hand away. And the ferocity of the movement threw me to the ground, with a muffled grunt. I closed my eyes tightly, but the pain I imagined did not come. It was Prince Ethan who had taken me into his arms. Fong. And without hesitation, he rolled over and took me into his arms. He shielded me well while his back bumped into the corner of the table, but I crouched over him in a daze. Instead, he rolled me over and up and down. Are you hurt? He asked in a warm voice. A hint of imperceptible heartache in his tone. I shook my head with my eyes downcast and fled from his hot embrace, my heart pounding uncontrollably. The prince whimpered. I just realized that his back has a wound. Peeled off his clothes. The wound is a little shocking. I busy went to fetch the good gold wound medicine carefully coated on the wound. During this period, the prince is very well behaved, silently watching me busy this and that for him. The expression on his face from puzzled to relieved and then to the sad face. So alternately. I really can't watch it anymore. Terrified. Afraid that he still doesn't believe it. Only to ask him carefully. Your Highness, did I do something wrong? Prince raised his eyes. Will I fixed look at? Clear voice light and slow. Is Lone wrong? I really never thought that the reason why you are different from us is. He swept over my abdomen again. Half chagrined. Half heartbroken. It was only me. I gasped hard, almost fell off my horse. Scared the hell out of me. And finally I was fooled. It's almost dusk when we get back from Eastern Palace. As soon as I entered the palace, the butler took me to the shrine, saying that my father was waiting for me there, under the dim light of the shrine. My father, who is nearly 40 years old, is still elegant and elegant. So it is no wonder that over the years, he has been taking concubines one by one. Because of what happened to my mother and brother, I actually have a grudge against him. If it wasn't for his inaction, how could he have let the evil slaves open the window and let my brother suffer from the cold? My father stood with his back to me. He looked at the house full of ancestral tablets and slowly said, I heard that you made the crown prince angry. I was shocked. How did father know so quickly about what happened at Eastern Palace? I immediately kneeled down and pleaded with him. Lord Father, let my daughter change back. The crown prince is getting more and more temperamental nowadays. I am afraid. I am afraid that the woman's identity will be discovered by him and harm the whole Fu family. These days, the crown prince's interest in me is getting deeper and deeper. One day, he will find out that I disguise myself as a man as this heavenly deception. I know that begging my father at this time is delusional, but I have to give it a try. Ning-er, your heart is in turmoil. My father turned around, his hawk-like eyes staring at me, and my heart trembled. You should kneel here and reflect on what you said to father me just now. With that he left. Father is the Minister of Personnel, in charge of the state treasury, but colluded with Prince Liam Shaoli. He personally sent his childhood friend, now Prince Liam's mother consort Delilah, into the palace, and is now supporting her son to take the throne, and I'm the one he planted at Eastern Palace as a child. My father was looking for an opportunity to kill the prince. In one blow. I knelt alone in the sweltering heat of the shrine, dripping with sweat. So hungry. Just as my stomach growled with hunger, footsteps suddenly came from behind me, and I turned my head to see that it was my brother coming. My brother smiled warmly at me and raised the basket in his hand toward me. Fu Qing, you can't even be humane anymore. But you still think about women. I struggled desperately to escape, however. This time, Prince Ethan was determined not to let me go. The moist breath on my neck couldn't be ignored, and I took a deep breath and said slowly, I really can't be humane. But this is something that no one knows about except for your highness. So, cured? Prince Ethan asked playfully. I gently jawed. Cured. So I took a skirt to think. In the darkness, redness climbed all over my face. I paused before saying, still not. Prince Ethan laughed softly. Let go of me. Turned me around. His tone steeply gentle down. Understatement. Oh, that's really pathetic. But I had the distinct impression that he was being pleasant. At the end, Prince Ethan came over and nibbled on my earlobe, saying slowly, Qing is a little liar. Prince Ethan left me in his bedchamber and slept with me. With the change of environment, I did not sleep soundly. In a daze, I heard Prince Ethan's voice. You've been gone for the past few days and Lone has missed you and bought a lot. You said you couldn't be humane, and while I was heartbroken, I was glad. Glad so you could stay with me. If you want, I'll be your backer. I turned my back to him, already in tears. At this point, I was finally sure that the crown prince was really gay. The heavenly handle is held in my hand. The task explained by my father is finally accomplished. But I am sobbing in the darkness, without realizing it. I have been living in Eastern Palace for 3 months. This march was the easiest and most comfortable march since I can remember. I didn't have my father's tasks pressing on me. And I didn't have to please anyone. I spent my days either reading with Prince Ethan and handling official business, or practicing with Jake Donovan and the others. Practicing the sword and playing the piano. Eastern Palace's food is also excellent. In the prince's feeding, I have grown a lot taller. Not to mention the 2 groups in front of my chest. Now Binder really want me to half of the old life. Even Prince Ethan teased me if I have gained weight. The longer he held me, the more I coveted his embrace. It's so nice to be cared for wholeheartedly, isn't it? When my father ordered me to attend the Queen's Thousand Autumn Festival as a woman, I had no choice but to say goodbye to the Crown Prince. The night before I left, those brimming phoenix eyes were tightly closed, and I quietly imprinted my lips on them, leaving with a single touch. On the day of the Thousand Autumn Festival, I wore a floor-length empire waist gown, pulled my waist-length green silk into a high bun, and attended the banquet in the name of Fiona Yawning. My beauty drew the attention of many noble gentlemen on the way to the palace. Even Jake Donovan scanned me multiple times, although he was my nominal fiancé. He had never met the real Fiona Yawning, and it was only right that he didn't recognize me. The banquet is divided into male and female seats. Separated by bamboo curtains, I sat on the seat, talking in a low voice with the commoner daughters of the house. But my eyes couldn't help but glance towards the first seat. Sister doesn't often go to banquets, may not know. This year this Thousand Autumn Festival banquet is for His Royal Highness the Crown Prince to take a consort, said Fu Linglong in a small voice. Fu Linglong whispered, she is 1 year younger than me, but she has already promised her husband. The other party is the niece of Empress Dowager, Lady Seraphina Yi Lingshang. I've seen Yi Lingshang before. She's a famous noblewoman in the capital who is both talented and beautiful, because she is the cousin of the Crown Prince. As the Crown Prince's companion, I have also followed the Crown Prince to meet her a few times. Prince Ethan is not keen on her. I heard that she left the capital 3 years ago to observe her filial piety for 3 years because her mother died of illness in her home in Qinzhou. Now, after all, is she back? The mood suddenly became chaotic. Hazy vision, only to see him today with a red python robe, such as the bright sun as dazzling eyes. This kind of him, how can it not make people's hearts flutter? Look, that Lady Seraphina Yi Lingshang toward the Queen and the Prince salute. It is shy red, a hibiscus face. At this moment she, pink face, peach cheeks, posture as weak willow wind, really is good looking. The Queen smiled repeatedly. She personally helped Yi Lingshang up, pulling her hand. To Prince Ethan hand put. I didn't see Prince Ethan's expression, but he didn't refuse. Sour bubbles rose in my heart, and I picked up the fruit wine on the table and drank it. Before long, my cheeks are flushed and my vision is misty. Unwilling to see the affectionate duo, I instructed Fu Linglong, lifted my foot and walked towards the Imperial Garden. At the end of September, the cool evening breeze in the Imperial Garden blew half of my alcohol out of me, and my vision was still a little blurred. In a blur, a touch of vermilion color came towards me in a hurry. Shing! My brain buzzed, and my body reacted faster than my brain. Dodging behind the wigwam, heart pounding, I catch my breath and wait quietly for Prince Ethan to approach. Suddenly, a woman's soft voice comes from the distance, calling, Your Highness, it's Yi Lingshang. She came out after him, uncertain. I hoped that Prince Ethan's footsteps would stop because of her call, but I also hoped that he didn't care about her. Your Highness, the Queen is calling you. Prince Ethan took a few more steps forward and stopped a wall away from me. His voice trailed off. Got it. Yi Lingshang seemed to be undeterred and asked again. Did Your Highness discover something? Said she was about to enter into the wigwam. I was shocked, and the intense tension caused my body to tremble slightly. However, a sound of fabric fumbling rang out. Yi Lingshang didn't come in, and I saw Prince Ethan pulling her behind him through the gap. It's deeper and dewy. Don't go in there and mess up your dress. It's just a wildcat. Suddenly the mother seeks me. Go away. Prince Ethan pulls a skeptical Yi Lingshang away, after confirming that they were really gone. My entire body was dislocated, falling downward. And I finally couldn't restrain myself from crying. I originally thought that since he only likes men and likes me, he wouldn't have any interest in other women, but I forgot. He is the crown prince. It's the future son of heaven. How can the prince of heaven be without an heir? Fin Yinqing cannot and will not give him an heir. What if it is a woman? A faint glimmer of hope rose in my heart. What if I told him I was a woman? But this thought was extinguished as soon as it came to me. Because if this matter of me disguising as a woman was revealed, the entire Fu family would be doomed. I can't let my own selfish desire make Fu family for my funeral. Even though my father is hateful, I still have my brother. And those concubine brothers and sisters. How innocent are they? I and he, after all, is not destiny. The cold wind is bleak, and the deadwood is shivering. It's a cold night at the end of September. I really didn't expect that behind the wigwam there were people. I dragged my tired body to try to get out of the wigwam and ran into someone hidden. That person was dressed in a green robe. His eyes were shadowy and crazy, and he tightly hooped my wrist before I stepped back. I ate the pain and looked up to see that it was Jake Donovan. What was he doing here? After panicking for a moment, I calmed down. Prince Ethan and Yi Ling Xiongfang didn't say anything. I was unnecessarily worried. I forcefully pulled out my wrist and saluted at him. Zhao Shixi, unbeknownst to me, Jake Donovan smiled evilly, stared at me for a long time, and suddenly pulled me into his arms. Let go of me, you denizen. I struggled desperately, terrified that he was different from Prince Ethan, who was a modest man, and I knew he wouldn't do anything to me. But Jake Donovan, I was a companion with him, and I knew exactly what kind of man he was at heart. Jake Donovan was oblivious to my insults. He even started to run his hands up and down me. Don't think I don't know who you really are. He licked my earlobe, as repulsive as a dark, moist snake. He grinned broadly and gently sniffed the scent of my neck. Be a good girl and marry me, Fiona, yawning. Oh no, Xing. I was as thunderstruck as I could be, with only one thought left in my head: it's over. I pulled a hairpin from the top of my hair and stabbed it hard into the palm of his hand that was holding me when he wasn't expecting it. I escaped, but behind me came Jake Donovan's exasperated voice. You won't get away with this. The next day, Jake Donovan brought someone to the Fu residence to ask for his hand in marriage, since he and I were already engaged. My father could do nothing about it, so he tried to delay it a bit. As a result, Jake Donovan had the chutzpah to sit at the head of the table and, with a single word, cause his father, who was always calm and collected, to change his face dramatically. He said, if His Highness knows that Xing is a man dressed as a woman, then the Fu family. Father clenched his fists and agreed. I completely lost all thought of this father. He actually did not take my life matters seriously in the slightest, and promised me to a treacherous person. Then don't expect me to tell him the crown prince's secret either. My father's grand plan to assist Prince Liam to the throne was not realized, and he lost me as his eyes in Eastern Palace. And in his anger, he locked me up in the shrine again. I was locked up in the shrine for several days, and I didn't know much about what was happening outside. My brother would sneak in to bring me tea and food. I looked at his clear, moist face and my guilt grew stronger. Brother, Aining is useless, and now that I don't have the status of being the crown prince's companion, I'm afraid that it will be even more difficult for us in the future. Brother, however, did not care much about what I said. Ning has grown up and is going to marry. Over the years, Aining has already done a good job. Brother doesn't blame you. Aining is a great credit to my Fu family. Father's grand plan is about to come to fruition. And we, brother and sister, are about to be free. He smiled and continued. Ning still doesn't know, right? After the news of your betrothal to Zhao Shixi spread, the crown prince sent a congratulatory gift. I held a tea light and sipped the tea. My eyes were downcast, but in my heart there was a huge uproar. My father had already gotten hold of the crown prince's handles. When will he do it? After all, Aining is the sister of the line. His Highness has always been generous in treating people. My brother stared at the swirl of my hair for a long time before he spoke. Does Ning know that the congratulatory gift was still sent by the crown prince himself? My heart jumped, and I looked up in a daze, only to find that my brother's eyes were deep and were gazing at me. Ning is really valued by the crown prince. The first thing he said when he came was to ask how your body is doing. My throat tightened. I opened my mouth and said dryly, "Well, Ning, do you have anything to say to your brother?" I looked into his eyes and shook my head. No. He looked at me deeply and smiled abruptly. "I forgot to tell you," father said. "Eastern Palace. You never have to go there again." Father couldn't stand Jake Donovan's soft touch and released me from the shrine. Jake Donovan was waiting for me in my boudoir the day I got out. He looked around, looked west, touched east, and mouthed nice. I sat on the couch, really impatient, and rebuked him in a deep voice. "Zhao Shitzi, you come to my boudoir before you are married. Is this the upbringing of House Donovan?" Jake Donovan was not annoyed and casually found a chair to sit down. "You don't have to provoke me. I know your eloquence has always been good. Or else you wouldn't have aroused the heart of His Highness." I was so angry that my chest rose and fell and I could only glare at him. Jake Donovan smiled willfully at the sight and clapped his hands as a couple of boys filed in. All holding damask and rouge, Jake Donovan pressed me down in front of the dresser and leaned in close to me, holding a jeweled hairpin to my head. "Ah, Xing is so beautiful. It is no wonder that I had often dreamed of you earlier." I was horrified, my body trembling under his grip. He came to my ear and whispered, "Ning still looks good in a skirt. In the future, you will wear a different skirt every day to show me." With that, he shoved a set of muslin jacket into my arms and pushed me behind the screen. "Do you think the prince would go crazy if he knew you were a woman?" Jake Donovan's smug voice reached my ears from behind the screen, and tears came to my eyes. Not knowing whether to feel humiliated or sour, "Prince Ethan, I missed you so much. Where are you?" Jake Donovan comes by almost every day. Every time he comes, it's with a vengeance, telling me how Prince Ethan's doing. To be precise, it's Prince Ethan and Lady Serafina Yulingfang's recent situation. Prince Ethan accompanied Yulingfang to swim in the lake. Prince Ethan taught Yulingfang to ride horses and taught her to hunt, and they even shared a horse. Jake Donovan laughed harshly at me. "Xing, His Highness is not attached to you, either." At first I would defend myself. Prince Ethan was just too busy, but as time went on, I began to doubt his true heart. Since that time, he never came to see me again. The long nights, the lonely pillows, were hard to sleep. I miss his reassuring embrace. I miss his kisses. I miss him biting my earlobe and calling me a little liar. Once again, I woke up in the midst of unbridled tears, and I realized with a start I had long been hopelessly in love with him. January passed in a flash. At the end of October, news came from the palace that the official was to lead the clansmen and officials to Mount Jade for an autumn hunt in 3 days, the night before the trip. I took advantage of the night to sneak into my father's courtyard, wanting to hear some news about Xiao Xian. Jake Donovan hadn't been here for half a month, and I didn't know what he was busy with, so I hadn't heard anything about Xiaozhen for a long time. I'd rather hear about his lovey-dovey routine with Yulingshang now. When I reached the courtyard, I found the light still on in the study in the small bamboo grove, and looked in through the window pane to realize that my father and Prince Liam were talking. "Your Highness, how's that layout coming along at Mount Jade?" It was father's voice. "Just waiting for royal brother to throw himself into the net." A clear and moist voice rang out. So I guess it was Prince Liam. A cold sweat broke out from my forehead as my heart fluttered. "Father and Prince Liam, this is to take advantage of the autumn hunt to make a move against Xiaozhen, to break the ice. I secretly traveled with Fu's carriage to Mount Jade. By the time my father found me, it was almost dark. Father had no choice but to let me stay in a tent with a few concubine sisters. Fu family is Minister of Personnel House, is the official position of the 3rd grade. The camp tent is not far from the king's tent, is not close. After the evening meal, I excused to eat propped up with Fu Linglong. No word to go outside. It was dark in the mountains. I found a bush to change into men's clothes, but I realized that I forgot to bring a chest harness. Looking at the dark night, the camp is not like the capital. Think it should be fine. Xiaozhen's camp tent is a golden-colored king tent, very eye-catching and easy to find, waiting for the soldiers patrolling the camp to go far away. I quietly stood outside the king's tent. The light inside the tent reflected his silhouette on the tent. His stance erect, seemingly dealing with official business. My heart was pounding. My nose was sore, and I couldn't help but cover it with my hand to keep the whimper from spilling out. Hoo! A cold and harsh sound, followed by an arrow breaking through the wind. I hastily dodged, but still let the arrow cut off a strand of green silk at my temples, nearly at the same time. The curtain of the king's tent was lifted heavily when I was caught off guard. Xiaozin's jade-like face broke into my eyes the moment he saw me. His eyes widened violently. His eyes full of surprise. I was like being cast as stasis. My whole body stood rigidly in place, and I opened my mouth with difficulty. Your Highness, I'm here. Step by step, Xiaozin walked firmly towards me. His gaze fixed on me for a moment. He brought me into the king's tent and immediately pinched my waist. Wrapping me tightly, I looked at this longing face for an instant. Tears almost came out of my eyes, and I couldn't help but feel sour in my heart. Xiaozin had been rubbing my cheeks as he gently wiped away my tears. Don't cry. I'm here. And then, he clasped the back of my head and lowered his head to kiss, attack, fiery breaths. Like starbursts. A curtain apart, noisy outside the tent, while inside the dimly lit tent, in a hidden corner, he kissed me intimately. My breath was taken from me so sharply that I was left whimpering, and my hands were clutched so tightly that I don't know. When I was pressed onto the couch, all I knew was that the blood in my body was hot and the temperature was rising steeply. My entire body drowned in his breath, repeatedly sinking. Inside the king's tent, under the starry night, Prince Ethan embraced me from behind, as if he wanted to melt me into his blood and bones. I wanted this moment to last forever, but I remembered what I'd come for. And I rolled over and wrapped my arms around his neck, my forehead against his. Your Highness, Prince Liam and my father. I paused and looked carefully into his eyes, and he looked calmly back at me. Are going to deal with you at the fall hunt. Prince Ethan laughed softly as he bullied his way in, his voice low. Did Xing come specifically to tell Lone? I was dissatisfied with his unconcerned demeanor and pushed him. But he caught my hand. It's about your Highness's safety. Of course I care. Laughter vibrated through Prince Ethan's chest at the end of his words. And I'd never seen him so happy. He swept me close, intent. Don't worry. There have been plenty of assassins in the fall hunts, and I'm not here in good hands. I'm here with you. Prince Ethan's confident demeanor made me feel a little relieved. I stroked his face, embedded myself in his arms and fell into a deep sleep. The next day, as the sky turned fish-belly white in the east, I was awakened by a horn blowing in camp. I opened my eyes to find Prince Ethan already dressed in riding attire, his inked hair tied back high, his long eyebrows in his temples, and his phoenix eyes blazing. Realizing I was watching him, he came over with a smile and leaned down to kiss me again and again. Seeing me blushing early in the morning, he smiled even more. Is the little lazy cat awake? I nodded. I've asked someone to bring some clothes, so you can change here. When you go hunting with me later, I'll hunt a few ink foxes for you and make you a cloak. Prince Ethan gestured to the riding clothes on the table. In a good mood. I nodded heavily, ignoring his derisive gaze, and dashed behind the screen to change. I figured that if there really was an ambush in the woods, my father would always show mercy with me around. I followed Prince Ethan to the outside of the official's royal tent, where a number of people were already gathered. I and the crowd. I saw Yi Lingshuang, who was valiantly dressed in a riding outfit, and when she saw Prince Ethan coming with me, her face changed for a moment. Jake Donovan also saw us. His eyes seemed to be poisoned, but he was afraid of Prince Ethan's majesty and didn't dare to come forward. Prince Liam stood with his father, and when he met my gaze, he gave me a small smile. Prince Liam Shaoli did not wear riding clothes, obviously not participate in the roundup today. At the official's command, Prince Ethan rode a fiery horse, located at the very front, and quickly scurried out. I also rode a date red horse and followed the crowd toward the forest. Mount Jade is one of the royal hunting grounds. The terrain is undulating. The woods are shady. There are extremely many species, and the depths are also extremely dangerous, often infested with fierce tigers. Although I am a woman, when the man raised these years. Riding and shooting practice is not bad. Is not Yi Ling Shuang's stream of noble women comparable to I chased Prince Ethan with my horse. And there were women beside me at first. But gradually, I got rid of them. I don't know why. But I still feel uneasy in my heart. I look around. I don't know where a person will pop up and be unfavorable to Prince Ethan. Not far away suddenly came the sound of shooting arrows. I followed the sound and saw Prince Ethan take an arrow from his pouch, draw his bow, and shoot it. After it was full. The black wolf fell in response, killed by the arrow. 1,000 years Prince Ethan. The soldiers and clansmen and nobles in the dense forest all shouted in unison, inspiring the people. Prince Ethan smiled faintly and continued to go deeper. I know. He wants to hunt tigers. As we went deeper into the mountains, the sight darkened. And from time to time the sound of galloping horses' hoofs and the cries of animals resounded in the woods. I stopped beside Prince Ethan, who had already hunted 2 ink foxes and picked them up to show them to me. 2 more will be enough. I smiled and nodded. There was a sudden tiger roar from the forest, and Prince Ethan immediately chased after it with his horse. It was a huge white tiger that was running towards us. Prince Ethan shot an arrow and hit its head, but it didn't stop and came faster. Your Highness, I shouted and took out an arrow and shot it, poking one of the white tiger's eyes out. Prince Ethan turned around and laughed. Shing! Well done. In the next second, a sudden change occurred. Countless arrows shot out from all directions at the same time. Prince Ethan leaped up, and the horse under his seat was killed by the arrows. Dozens of black-clothed assassins suddenly appeared around him. Stay close to me. After he finished speaking, he protected me with one hand and immediately drew his sword and rushed into the encirclement. Fighting with the assassins, Prince Ethan's inner strength is extremely deep, and he kills with every move he makes. Soon, the bodies of the assassins were piled up all over the ground, with a swoosh sound. A short arrow came flying with a cold light. Be careful! Prince Ethan turned around and pushed me to the side with force while throwing his sword out. A body fell from the tree overhead. I was so scared that I was busy looking at Prince Ethan's injury. The arrow was poisoned and pierced into his chest. Luckily, it didn't hit his lungs. Prince Ethan gritted his teeth, pulled his sword out, and led me out on my horse. Within a few steps, more assassins in black appeared. Prince Ethan's face darkened and his eyes grew even colder as he turned his head and ran deeper into the dense forest. Suddenly, Prince Ethan pulled the reins, and the horse under his seat's front hooves rose high. Neighing and stopping, I furrowed my brows and looked over in confusion. Oops, ahead was the bluff. Are you scared? Facing the approaching assassins, Prince Ethan kissed the corner of my lips and asked me softly. I shook my head firmly. Prince Ethan made a snap decision, loosened the reins, buckled my waist, and leapt toward the cliff beyond. A few arrows flew from above, but they missed, except for one that knocked off the jade crown that bound my hair. In an instant, my waist-length silk fluttered in the wind. Prince Ethan's eyes widened in shock, and after a moment, a strange light erupted from his phoenix eyes, rippling through them. Shing! Do you know how much I rejoice? In the next moment, he stifled a grunt and locked eyes with me. Those brimming phoenix eyes were written all over my eyes, all over my betrayal, all over unbelief. He asked me why. All that responded to him was the dagger being sent hard into his hot chest once again. I dealt him the death blow when he was at his most jubilant. I'm sorry, I had sobbed. Below the cliff was a deep, cold pool. My back was about to touch the water of the pool when Prince Ethan switched places with me. The jolt hit us all at once, followed by the icy cold pool water drowning us. I in the water. I pounded him hard, trying to get him to let go of me, but he held me tighter and tighter. I had mixed feelings. Even if I betrayed him, he still put my safety before his own. The bottom of the pool was dark and the faint smell of blood drilled into my nose. Prince Ethan's injuries couldn't be delayed. I dragged him with me and swam towards the bright light at the bottom of the water. As the oxygen was about to run out, I pulled him to the surface and into a cave. Prince Ethan was pale and extremely cold, and I shuddered as I got the fire going and went to strip him down to roast. Panicked, knowing that my father's assassin was good at poison, I prepared the antidote pills in advance and fed them to him. In the middle of the night, I heard Prince Ethan talking between my confused moments. Cold, lying on the floor, Prince Ethan was cowering, his face in pain. I gritted my teeth and pulled my oven-dried clothes over me. my body shrinking into his arms for warmth, unbeknownst to me. Just as I embedded myself in his arms, he rolled over and pinned me down. The unconscious Prince Ethan was also extremely strong, and he imprisoned me firmly as his overwhelming manly aura enveloped me. He kisses me on the lips in a muffled way, sharp and heavy. I was like a boat on the sea, sinking and sinking with him. When I woke up, the rainstorm stopped and the sky outside the cave was bright, while Prince Ethan was still asleep. I went into the water to wash off my sticky body. The cold water of the pool in the end of October was bone-chillingly cold, but it did not quench the excitement in my heart. I get dressed and look around the cave, searching for a way out. This cave is not big. A small mouth connects the cold pool where we fell, and the big mouth opens outward, looking at the vegetation outside the cave. I guess this cave is still in Mount Jade. It was close to noon when I came back with some fruits in my arms. Prince Ethan was still unconscious, and his face had changed from pale to red, and he was beginning to get hot. The arrow and knife wounds in his chest were beginning to inflame. So I rushed to wash them out with water and put a poultice on them. I wiped his sweaty face and carved his face into my mind. I knew that he was about to wake up. When he wakes up, that's when I leave. Prince Ethan, I'll give you a sword in exchange for a clean slate. I hope we'll meet again. It's been 3 months since we parted at the bottom of the cliff. This March, the situation in the capital has seen a sea change. First, in early November, the prince was attacked at Mount Jade hunting grounds. Prince Liam took advantage of the opportunity to force the palace. And finally the situation was controlled by the prince, who rushed back. Prince Liam fled. Consort Delilah was given to death, and the Fu family and other collusion with Prince Liam's party were raided. The crown prince was kind and pardoned the families of the officials involved in the crime. Immediately following December, the official became seriously ill and ordered the crown prince to supervise the country. The crown prince took thunderous measures to clean up the officials and reorganize the court. Then in the month of Lunar New Year, the foreigners came to invade the country, and the crown prince went on a personal expedition, defeating the enemy and recapturing several cities and towns. The people said that the crown prince would be a wise ruler in the future. If it weren't for the information I overheard at my brother's place, I would have thought it was true. When the news of my fraudulent death spread, he fell ill and could not get up. He didn't even go to court for a long time, and government affairs were handled by the palace staff. Moving into Eastern Palace under such circumstances, he actually made so many moves I couldn't help but worry about his body. Seeing me standing motionless at the edge of the cliff looking into the distance, my brother approached and squeezed my hand. "Why is it so cold?" His tone was slightly reproachful, his soft, clear eyes gazing at me. I looked back at him, never realizing that my brother was Prince Liam and Prince Liam was my brother. The night I was rescued from the bottom of the cliff, I clearly saw that it was Prince Liam who found me. But when I woke up, it was my brother who was by my bedside. When my brother washed away the disguise on his face, revealing Prince Liam's face, I realized that my twin brother had died on the day of his birth. The one who pretended to be my brother and accompanied me was always the real Prince Liam. Fin Yenshing. Xiao Li. Aining. Do you still miss him? He wrapped his arms around me, resting his chin gently on my shoulder, his moist breath breathing like a feather on my neck. My heart cooled inch by inch with his breath. In the spring, he's going to take Lady Seraphina as his crown princess. He rambled with me as if he didn't care. After all, that's who saved his life. He did it on purpose. Ning. When are we going to get married? He grew up with me. When did he ever have a heart for me? But I'm pregnant. Prince Liam is on the run, and no one knows he's hiding out in the hills at the foot of Mount Jade. He has renounced his royalty to focus on being my brother. Before the hunt that day, Prince Liam's men found me, holding my brother's jade pendant and claiming that if I didn't assassinate the crown prince, they would turn on my brother. My brother's health was not good and I was so anxious that I could only agree. But when I think about it, it is not a wise ruler who can blackmail others to do things with people around him. I want to protect my brother and the prince's safety. I can only pretend to betray. Obviously, both parties took it seriously. I am the most crucial link in this contest. And that variable, the prince's fall from the cliff, led Prince Liam to believe that the prince was dead and he forced his way to the palace. But he didn't expect me to save him. The prince won and was convicted of treason. Since then, Prince Ethan's path to the throne has been free of obstacles. On New Year's Eve, the royal decree for the prince's wedding came down, and the wedding date was set for February 2 and D. The day I will marry Xiaoli is also scheduled for that day. On New Year's Eve, to celebrate the crown prince's wedding in advance, fireworks will be set off at night in the imperial city. The crown prince invites all the people of the city to watch and have fun with the people. I also centralized Xiaoli to take me there, Jinming Pond, where the view is most luxuriant. A pair of wall people look at each other. This scene pierced my heart, and my abdomen hurt. Children, do you also feel that your father likes someone else? Xiaoli sensed my discomfort and was so nervous that he wrapped me tightly. Do you need to call a doctor? I shook my head slightly, my eyesight staring into the distance, fireworks in full bloom. The people were cheering, the sound of swords and knives also rang out at this moment. I turned around violently. Xiaoli stood in the crowd. His expression was inexplicable and his eyes were maniacal. Everything that belongs to me will return tonight. The arrow, with the sound of breaking air, shot out from Xiaoli's hand, pointing straight at Prince Ethan's throat on the high platform. I don't know where the strength came from. I jumped at that arrow, but it was only a split second. Very, very fast. I landed heavily, warm liquid flowing from my chest and the corners of my mouth. Xing sis. Who's calling me? Before I lost consciousness, I saw him running towards me. It's so good. It's so good. He still cares about me, doesn't he? It's just that I haven't been able to tell him in person that he's going to be a daddy. Looking back on this life, I haven't lived it properly for myself yet, born in the Fu family, although brocade clothes. But at birth, that is the loss of mother and twin brother. I was sent to Eastern Palace as a child to work as an informer. She was sent to Eastern Palace as an informer. And after more than 10 years of caution and fear, she was fortunately loved by the crown prince, just when I thought my days were about to get better. My father wanted to take part in the conspiracy to push the Fu family into the fire. I have someone I care about. And whether he's a fake brother or the real Prince Liam, he treats me extremely well. I had someone I loved. The one who wowed me all the time. That arrow from my brother shot more than just the love of my life. It was the hope of the people of Liam. The world needs him. The people need him. After losing consciousness, I drifted for a while. I floated to the prison and saw my brother in a solitary confinement cell, silent and weeping. His face withered. The next female cell also held Lady Seraphina, Yi Lingsheng. When I saw her, the jailer was bringing her food, and she had a disheveled face, but her mouth was chanting, "I am the crown princess. I saved the crown prince. Ha ha ha. I'm the crown princess. What are you doing? I am the crown princess. What are you doing?" It's also a poor man. I drifted to Eastern Palace. The familiar bedchamber was empty, and the crown prince had ascended to the throne as emperor. I floated over to Imperial Hall and saw me lying on the bed with Zozan holding a pad and wiping my face bit by bit. Outside the hall, there was a floor of kneeling imperial doctors and folk doctors. They all bowed their heads and kept silent. Shouts and held my hand, roared out, "There is no other way. What is the use of me raising you? If anything happens to her, I'll make you all die with her." I sigh. The doctor is really a high-risk profession. I looked at myself on the bed. My face was pale. My belly was slightly bulging. If it wasn't for the fact that I was still breathing weakly, I would have thought I was dead. Aline, that night you were hurt very badly. The eunuchs all said that you could not be saved, but you came through. Ah, Xing, wake up. I didn't even know that you were having our child. The Jake Donovan you didn't want to marry, I gave him a marriage. And Yi Lingsheng, I never liked her. I just found myself liking men. I want to think about verifying whether I am really gay or not. I always knew that it was you who saved me. That knife. I don't blame you. Xiaoli, I will not take his life. I want him to watch us love each other, whitehead and grow old together. I've never hated you. Xiaoxin's warm tears slowly fell onto my face. I touched my face in a daze. It was just a void. My heart ached violently and I floated to his side to embrace him. But I couldn't touch him. I can only watch him. More and more emaciated. Watched him from the scenery of the young man into a beard-pulling slag of the young man. The doctor said that my life is not in danger. Just do not want to wake up. I am not unwilling. Shaoxin went to Temple of Serenity and asked for nothing. The abbot of Temple of Serenity only said, "You don't have to ask for anything, but it's useless to think about it." The day I woke up. It was a beautiful spring day. I moved my fingers slightly, stroking Prince Ethan's haggard face. He was startled at first, and then the tears fell. It turns out that ecstasy can't be vocalized. He embraced me fiercely into his arms, and there were tears falling drop by drop in bunches on my neck, soaking my collar, and finally merging into a murmuring stream flowing into my heart. I only heard his deep nasal voice and muffled voice. "Fortunately, you woke up. You don't leave me again. I really can't stand it." I hugged him back harder, responding to him with a cry. "I'm here. Since I woke up." Prince Ethan looked me in the eye. He was haunted by the fact that I had scammed and lied to him earlier, and he read it to me every night before he went to bed. I held my stomach and really didn't want to hear it, so I excused the baby from kicking me. That time I did not have much personal freedom. All depends on Shaoli to make decisions. I was about to go into labor. Prince Ethan was free to lean on my stomach and talk to the baby, said something like, "No matter whether it is a royal son or a princess, it is necessary to protect the mother with the father." I giggled, pouting and glaring at him. The end of summer. The world was in a drought. It was night when Nian was born. With my screams, Prince Ethan and I had our first child, Princess Nian Yan. The time of the fury. Lightning and thunder thundered outside the house, and sweet rain fell. Prince Ethan was overjoyed and granted amnesty. In the morning, the rain stops and a rainbow appears. Prince Ethan hugged me and I hugged Nian Nian, watching the rising sun together. I thought, this is the complete life I want.